Well, hello there, good people. Hi, I'm Jason from Green Country Agroforestry. The birds around us are, they're really excited today because they know that today is the corn planting day. So, let's get to it. So here it is. This is big horse spotted corn, and it's the corn that was grown by the Osage people here in northeastern Oklahoma for a long, long time before the Europeans ever showed up. So this is Oklahoma's native corn, and it comes in all different colors. We have this red speckled here, really nice, deep, dark, rich red. We even have this is technically a purple, but it's so purple that you could go ahead and call it black if you want to. And although you can't really tell from where you're sitting, it also has tiny little speckles in it. And of course, my favorite is this. It's that purple and white speckle, especially that white speckle. It's white speckled with flecks of purple, and it kind of reminds me of wampum. Wampum is a currency that was used by the eastern tribes. You would go out to the ocean whenever it wasn't hurricane season and walk along the beach. And the reason you were out there by the ocean in the first place, a wide variety of reasons. For one thing, there's lots of fish, lots of crabs. You could pick up the shellfish, the surf. There were these really lovely ground cherries that grew in the sand dunes out there. They still grow there. And of course, you were collecting salt so you could take it back home. And then you leave the beach whenever it was hurricane season. You wouldn't want to be out there at that time of year. But while you're walking along, you could pick up these pieces of seashell that have been washed by the ocean. The edges were all smooth, and usually they'd be in little discs, and they were purple and white, streaked with purple and white. And what they would do whenever they had the spare time is they would get back to the lodges and bore holes through them so you could pass a strand through them, and you could wear them around your neck. And these were used for trade. And it's almost like making money. But this particular shade, that purple and white, is very attractive for that particular reason. And I'm in the midst of trying to stabilize that particular shade out of Big Horse because. But I'll keep the red and the black around too. And who knows? Maybe I'll have those for sale eventually. Right now, I don't have much of just red and black. I'm blabbering, aren't I? Yes. Okay, let's get to planting. And what I'm doing now is kind of like a little version of square foot gardening, I guess. I'm intensively planting peas here, corn there. The peas are going to be fixing nitrogen. The corn is going to be consuming nitrogen because it's a heavy feeder. It's another good reason to grow it on the grain field. So in case you were wondering, yes, the wood chip walkway I'm walking on right now is part of our irrigation system. Underneath the walkway, there's a trench about 16 inches deep. And since these rows that I'm in are about 20 foot long, that means on either side of the row we have 75 gallons worth of water capture underfoot. So these rains that we've got coming over the next week should charge that up really well and help keep this part of the garden nice and moist for the foreseeable future. The peas that I've got growing here are Alaska early peas, and yes, that's the pea that I planted at the very first 2 years ago when I just got started on this annual backyard garden area. Alright, here's my seed that we've already got prepared. Really nice stuff. I'm going to drop one in every one of these holes and then we'll thin them all out later. That's the plan. The variable genetics of Big Horse spotted corn is one of the reasons why I was attracted to it in the first place. You've got long ears, as you saw, short ears, red ones, black ones, purple ones, white ones, even occasionally a little bit of yellow pops up, and orange. Some of it's dent corn, some of it's flint corn, somewhere in between the two. You've got 8 row, 10 row, 12 row, 14 row. Just about every sort of corn genetics that you can imagine, other than a few mutations here and there that have happened since people started cultivating it, can be found in the Big Horse spotted corn. So if you were looking for a corn that you could plant and grow wherever you are, oh, that's a pretty one. Really nice. White and purple speckles. Anyway, if you're looking for a corn that you could grow where you're at, that would do well for you, I might suggest try growing the big horse, and then taking whichever of the plants that perform the best for you and saving the seed from them, and develop your own localized variety. So I had a video last year, I think it was, called Introduction to Nixtamalization, where I show you how to use calcium carbonate. I used a Mexicali lime to turn your corn into hominy. And I was using field corn because I didn't have enough of this to work with. Saving this for the seed, right? And I tell you, using that commercial lye is a bit tricky. I was getting ready to say a minute ago. Last year, whenever I did it with the Mexicali lime, I wound up burning my mouth a bit. And I think this year instead we're going to use wood ash. About 50% of wood ash is calcium carbonate, you see. So you can use wood ash to nixtamalize your corn as well. And it'll probably come off a bit milder that way. Might have to soak it longer to make my hominy, but that's okay. I can produce wood ash right here in the wood stove every year during the winter. And if I use that, then I think we'll be doing pretty good. Oh, these pieces are dropping all the way down, but that's fine. That's fine because, well, I'll show you here in a minute. So somebody might be asking, hey, is that corn or is that maize? M-A-I-Z-E, maize would be the name for what we call corn commonly. And it's maize. The species is Zea maize, Z-E-A-M-A-Y-S, Zea maize. And all of your corn, as we commonly call it, is maize in actuality. Corn, as a concept, goes back to Old English language. Once upon a time, any kind of grain that you had, whether it was barley or rice or wheat, spelt, millet, didn't matter what it was, if it was a grain, you called that grain a corn. So doing anything with a grain, the grain's called corn. This is also, incidentally, whenever you're manufacturing black powder, there's a process where you make the individual grains of black powder, and modern powder too has grains. The process by which you make all of those grains of a uniform size is called corning. Alright, so now you know. Corn is maize, all corn is maize, well, all what we call corn is maize. Charged up really well. Now here's the tool that we're going to use to cover up that corn that we just planted. Alright, now as you'll observe, those little holes we dropped the corn down into, the corn kernels, were about 2.5 inches deep, which is deeper than the corn needs to be planted. But check this out. I'm going to take our tool here and flatten out these hills. And we're going to go back the other way. And now the corn's about 1/4 inch below the surface, except for the places like here where it's already picking up. And there we have it. Ground's firmed up, corn's planted. And all those grackles that were looking at it earlier like, ooh, he's planting corn, can we get some? Well, they're just going to be disappointed.
Still have to work otherwise.
watching the channel a while, you'll know that I like to plant things in layers. I want to have a ground cover layer, an herbaceous perennial layer, maybe an understory layer, a canopy layer, and a vining layer. Here where we've got the corn growing, the corn is going to be the canopy. And at the moment, the peas are our vine. I've got a ground cover here. That's white clover, Trifolium repens. There's a repens, I'm not sure. There's those seeds, little tiny things. We're just going to sprinkle those over as a ground cover. And of course the clover provides us with a source of nitrogen, and as a ground cover, it's going to be there to maybe hopefully stop some of the grass from growing. Okay, so in our corn patch we have a canopy layer, that's the corn. We've got a vining layer, which is peas, and then later on it'll be cow peas, black-eyed peas, vining black-eyed peas. We've got our ground cover layer. We need something else. We need an herbaceous layer, and that's what I've got right here. This is called safflower. Safflower is an asteraceae, relative to the sunflower, and it's grown commercially as a seed oil, and also, as you can tell, as a bird seed. We use a lot of this, and it has a couple of interesting properties. It's fairly high in protein. We can press the oil and use that for salad oil ourselves, and then feed the press cake to the birds. And the taste of it is something that squirrels don't seem to like. So this keeps the squirrels out of the bird feeders. I don't know if it's going to keep them out of the corn patch or not, but I'm willing to give it a shot. So that's what safflower seed looks like. Now you notice some of these are not in the husks. So, yeah. Anyway, so that's what safflower seed looks like. Alright, so a little of this goes a long way, and I'm just going to put a couple of seeds here in between each one of these plantings of peas, and that's going to come up in between the rows.
See that again?
These plants will be fairly large, each one flowering out to about 2 foot across and about waist high. There's a bird seed. This is good for finches, it's good for cardinals, so they like it. Bluebirds like it. Chickadees like it. Wow, well you just look at this. We've got our peas coming up. They're starting to grab a hold of this top line here. We're going to add another one here in a couple of weeks now. You see how the corn is starting to emerge. These little tiny clovers peeking through here, and I think I see, yeah, I surely do, a whole bunch of them right here. The safflowers are starting to come up as well. So we have all of the components of a multi-layered planting coming up here. We've got corn for a canopy, for an understory. We've got the safflower coming up. The vining layer, of course, is our peas. Ground cover is the clover. And everything's doing fine, but there's just one thing we need to do now. That's thin the corn. Here we go. Very, very quick, very, very easy. Corn, pull, pull, corn, pull, pull, corn, pull, pull, corn. We pull one here, we pull one here, we have corn here. Pull one here, pull one here, we have corn here. See how quick and easy that is? Now, a nice, cool, somewhat rainy day like today is a great day to do this because everything pulls out easy. And remember, we planted 2 inches apart, so by pulling these extra plum plants, all we're doing is thinning them out to about 6 inches in some cases, 8 inches depending upon some other factors. Occasionally I'll have a plant that didn't germinate, and there'll be a little extra gap there, but that's fine. Now we're going to thin out the safflowers here after a while, but right now we're just going to focus on the corn. Well, alright good people, that's all I've got for you today, but don't go too far. Coming up in about 60 days or so, those sweet peas are going to need to come out, and I've got another plant all ready to go for the vining layer. This is a black-eyed pea, which I hope will have a vining habit. Its parents did. We'll see how it does. Now, if you happen to find this video informative or entertaining, hopefully maybe a little bit of both, you know what to do. I'll catch you